Developing a consumer hardware product is not easy. So, in your experience, startups with a limited financial resource, how can they overcome this challenge?
I think there are three major problems, right, which a consumer hardware specifically would face. The first being, a lot of folks would just come up with ideas saying that, okay, this is probably the best idea to solve this problem, and they won't look for alternates.
Okay.
But there are innovation and design methodologies already out there, thanks to the 100 years of innovation that has happened in the last century in mechanical domain. We actually have frameworks which would help you verify whether this solution that I've created or I've thought about is the only solution, or if there are any alternates which I should also be looking at.
Okay.
So those frameworks can be used to verify whether the idea is good enough or not, virtually, without really spending a lot of money.
Okay.
Second would be, I think, challenges in raising funds, and of course the time constraints in building a product, right? It takes time to build a product. There's a dependence on other folks as well. One, before starting, should have their expectations set correctly. They should know that as soon as I have the idea, or as soon as I have some prototype developed, I won't really get a lot of funds. And I should not go and approach VCs because that's it. You have to prove that people actually want it.
Correct.
That happens with almost every product out there. Before really proving whether that people want it, you don't really get funded very well.
Correct.
Right? So to do that, I think the government of India also has a lot of incentives. State governments also have grants,
Okay.
especially to build hardware.
Right? Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So to build hardware, you can approach these government bodies to get some grants.
Okay.
You start building a prototype.
Okay.
Once you verify the idea. And then you can go on, of course, have a budget allocated for doing a crowdfunding campaign on platforms like Kickstarter, wherein you say that, okay, I have this solution, make a super cool video of what we are supposed to build, and tell them that this is the current state of the product and you need funds to manufacture it and give it to customers. These platforms are actually full of people who are super supportive and are majorly part of the creator community and want to support and see such projects come to life, right? So they would back you. They would actually pre-order the product at a discounted price.
Okay.
And that gives a validation. So you've already raised some funds through pre-orders, or let's say advanced bookings. Right now, this can be, of course, used to either manufacture the product directly and go and start selling it. And it also acts as a validation that people want it.
Feedbacks as well comes your way.
Of course, feedback also comes your way, right? For probably what feature is to be added, what is to be subtracted, and things like that. So you get this community, which is super useful to find out the final product and what changes to be made. And then, of course, you go and approach, let's say, an investor saying that, see, this is what I've done. This is the traction which we see. Now let's go big.
Okay.
So I think that should be the journey for solving this second part of the challenge. I think the third challenge is dependence on third parties a lot, right? In contrast with a software product, wherein you have bigger players like Microsoft Azure or AWS, wherein basically there's a no-brainer. I don't have to really think about if I have to store my data somewhere. I just go and check on what category of AWS I fall in. There's a single price point. I don't really have to do negotiations. I don't really have to check whether this is credible or not, right? When you're talking about building a hardware product,
it's completely different.
It's completely different, right? You have to, of course, in your network, try to find out who is the manufacturing partner who can help me build this aspect of the product, right? For a plastic part, I'll need an injection molding guy. For a machining part or metal part, you'll need a machining guy. Now, these vendors, of course, there are multiples of these vendors across the country. Who to work with, who is credible, who is going to give you the right price. All those things are questions which people are just not enough confident about, right? So one is that. And then you're super dependent on these guys also, because they'll have to deliver on time, and what quality you're expecting should also be clear. So there's a lot of documentation which also supposed to happen, which people skip in the beginning. So that's there. But I think companies like Zetwork are really solving this, wherein they are going the one-stop solution for all your manufacturing needs. But I think it's going to take some time for it to work out well in the R&D phase of a product as well.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is still not a solved challenge, but
it's evolving. And
it's evolving. I think it's going to get better as the ecosystem grows in a particular geography as well.
Some great pointers, especially for folks who would want to start something. I think to summarize it, to look at the frameworks and ensure that frameworks fall in place. Be mindful that it is a cost-intensive and a time-intensive project or a journey that you are going to be. So yourself as an individual or founder and your people or investors who are supporting it should be aware of it. I'm sure they would be. And third is to use resources that's available, like grants, look at options where there could be validations that you mentioned about Kickstarters and other platforms. And you have a product, then you have created a product, but more importantly, can it be manufactured at scale? So having the right vendors and partners to fuel your growth, that's some great points. I think it's going to help a lot of people around.
Yeah, hope so.